Speaking of the UN, the Security Council met on Friday to discuss North Korea's latest missile test that took place just days after a resolution against the country. North Korea defied international sanctions to send a missile over Japan, the farthest it has ever gone, showing the potential to hit the U.S. territory of Guam. Of course, the action was condemned by Japan. South Korea immediately launched its own missiles, and the United States blamed China for not doing enough to check its ally in the peninsula. It's been a blame game since this happened, but it all boils down to this. What does the UN Security Council do now?
It took less than 24 hours for the UN Security Council to call for an emergency meeting on the request of the United States and Japan. The last time there was an emergency meeting on North Korea was just last week, in response to North Korea's test of its most powerful weapon yet, the hydrogen bomb. The 15-member Security Council unanimously stepped up actions against North Korea on Monday over its September 3rd nuclear test, imposing a ban on the country's textile exports and capping imports of crude oil. It was the 9th UN sanctions resolution adopted on North Korea since 2006, and is said to have been the UN's toughest yet against the country.
Will those in favor of the draft resolution contained in document S/2017/769 please raise their hand? The result of the voting is as follows. The draft resolution received 15 votes in favor. The draft resolution has been adopted unanimously as Resolution 2375 of 2017.
Today's resolution would not have happened without the strong relationship that has developed between President Trump and Chinese President Xi, and we greatly appreciate both teams working with us. We don't take pleasure in further strengthening sanctions today. We are not looking for war. The North Korean regime has not yet passed the point of no return. If it agrees to stop its nuclear program, it can reclaim its future. If it proves it can live in peace, the world will live in peace with it.
A peaceful diplomatic solution, which we all want, is in the hands of North Korean regime. If North Korea wants peace and security, it needs to demonstrate concrete measures for the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, comply fully with the relevant Security Council resolutions and joint statement of the six-party talks, and thus come back to the dialogue table.
Confidence in the resolution was, however, shattered when North Korea conducted its latest missile test, flying over Hokkaido in northern Japan and landing in the Pacific about 2,000 kilometers to the east. State-run television KRT showed video of the launch and still photographs of leader Kim Jong-un guiding the launch. Surrounded by several officials, he was all smiles as the missile flew from a moving launcher. Back to the present, the UN Security Council condemned Friday's launch.
The Council condemned the highly provocative launch of a ballistic missile by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The Security Council stressed that all member states must fully, comprehensively, and immediately implement all relevant Security Council resolutions, in particular Resolution 2375. And the Security Council also emphasized the vital importance of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea immediately showing sincere commitment to denuclearization through concrete action, and stressed the importance of working to reduce tension in the Korean Peninsula. The Security Council reiterates the importance of maintaining peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula and in Northeast Asia at large, and expressed its commitment to a peaceful, diplomatic, and political solution to the situation, and welcomes efforts by Council members as well as other states to facilitate a peaceful and comprehensive solution through dialogue.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said the United Nations sanctions on North Korea need to be firmly imposed. Speaking to reporters on Friday, he said the international community must send a clear message to North Korea over its provocative actions. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that North Korea's continuing missile tests threatened the entire world and that the U.S. was working closely with regional allies Japan and South Korea on the problem.
By working with them and other democratic partners, we continue to build consensus at the United Nations Security Council to create a united international front that upholds our values and strives to make us safer. But North Korea is now a global threat, and it requires a global response from all nations.
China's ambassador to Washington called on the United States to refrain from making threats over North Korea. Ambassador Sui Tiankai told reporters he thinks the United States should be doing much more than now so that there is real effective international cooperation on the issue. Russia's ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebenzia, said Moscow will implement sanctions earlier called for in the UN resolution, but wants to see political steps taken by the US and other countries.
First of all, we think that threats, tests, launches, and mutual threats, in fact, should be stopped, and that we should engage in meaningful negotiations. You might have heard that, in fact, many serious American experts are saying that there is no way but to sit at the table and come to thinking how to resume six-party talks. I think it was Madeleine Albright who was referring to it recently, and some others as well. There are serious analysis in the American press on the issue, which came out in the last few days, even before we adopted Resolution 2375. I think many people around the world, including here, understand that there's no alternative to this in the end.
The North's nuclear tests will be on the agenda as leaders meet this week in New York. The joint resolution reached previously will require unanimous cooperation to achieve its goal.
Still ahead on the program, our conversation with the Executive Director of the World Food Programme. Please join us again.